The journey is a journey of patience, resilience. It will test you. Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing my PR journey. How was I able to process my permanent residency in Canada from the UK in just 2 months? Yes, you heard right, 2 months. And I did it all by myself without any help of any agent or any immigration consultants. Do you want to know the full details of how I was able to process that? Then join me on today's video. Kindly like, share, subscribe, and let's get into the details. So Friday marks 4 months when I became a permanent resident of Canada, and I moved from the UK down here to Canada. My jackpot 2.2 like we call it. So in today's video, I just want to discuss the step-by-step process of how I was able to do it all by myself without the help of any agents coming down into Canada. And the journey is a journey of patience, resilience. It will test you and test your patience all along. So my journey started in 2020. Yeah, you heard right. So 2020, I started this journey. I started as a single person, and I am married when I came into Canada, and I was even expecting at the time. So I'll say almost a family of 3 after when I came, and I started as a single person. So in 2019, I was robbed. I won't go into the details of all that, but I had my own fair share of some of the NSAS issues. If you're Nigerian, you know what NSAS is, and that just shook me to my core. Prior to then, I was pro-Nigeria. Like nothing could take me out of my country. I'd always wanted to do my master's abroad, but I wasn't looking to jackpot, so to speak. I was just looking to like have my master's and then come back into the country, because I just believe like they're going to be great. I know it will still be great, but I might just take a bit of time. But so after that incident, I was like, I wanted to jackpot, and then I started, I wanted to do it the right way. And the first step of my journey began. I began researching. I wanted to know, how was I able to, how would I go about it? What's the route to do and all that. And, unlike in 2019, we didn't have like as much information about Canada like we have now. Now, we have the likes of Olu of Canada, InfoPlace Canada, everywhere you get the information about what is happening. But then Express Entry was just something I had heard of, and Neraland was just the only place I could go and get 1 or 2 information. Then I saw a YouTuber, Whizqueen. I'll put the link to our YouTube page in the description and probably in the comments. So I went to our page, and that was where I was getting my information from, like how you could migrate as the permanent resident even from your country. And I started, like, the Express Entry is one of the pathways to migrating to Canada as a permanent resident. There are lots and lots of pathways that I discovered with my research. So the very first thing you want to do on this journey is to research. A lot of research. Now the information is everywhere, so you can like literally get that everywhere. So from my research, I got to know that there's a need to like check your eligibility, for this route, which I did. Put in some details like your qualification, you need your language test, you need to like your age, years of experience, and all the likes would help check your eligibility to going through the permanent residency route, the Express Entry route, sorry. And so I did that. I checked that. I saw that I was eligible. I'll put the link to check your eligibility as well in the description and also in the comment section. I'm saying also in the comment section because a lot of people don't know the difference between the description box and then the comment section. So I'll just put it in both spaces so that I can get the information easily. Then in that research as well, I got to know that you can check your score. So how does the Express Entry profile work? It's like a poll. So it's a point. The Express Entry system is a point-based system. Like once you put in, there are this list of criteria that you should have or you should fill out. So once you fill out those things, then it's going to calculate that and then give you a score. So every criteria already like have a score allocated to it. So when you do all that, you have a score, and that score, with that you create a profile and you enter the large pool of people all over the world that want to come into Canada as a permanent resident. So it is from that pool of people with different profiles all over the world that the Canada government, the IRCC, go into and then pick out some set of people. The process of picking out is called the draw. And before now, it was done fortnightly, every 2 weeks. On Wednesday, every 2 weeks, the government of Canada will go into the pool and pick out or take a draw of people, giving a specific cutoff. So that was what the process is, or that's the process, that's the entire process. So the CRS to help you, give you an hypothetical score as to what your express entry score would be when you finally create a profile. So you can see, like, hypothetically what my score will be. Oftentimes the score doesn't change. What the CRS to composes for you won't change if every criteria remains the same. I say if because when you are doing your CRS score, for instance, let's assume you don't have your IELTS. That means you are just putting an hypothetical figure for your English language test. So when you finally take the test, if there is like a variance in the test score that you use in computing your CRS tool and the final test score you're going to be using for your express entry, you might actually get a change. But besides that, oftentimes it often stays the same. So I use the CRS score. I did the hypothetical thing as well. I just checked, okay, if I have this and this and this in my language test, what am I going to have? What will my score be? And I did that. I saw what it was going to be. The link in the CRS for the CRS to also be in the description, so you can also want to do that. So with all this research I was able to do, then I headed out, register for my English language test, IELTS, and I just went on. That was where I made my first mistake, because I studied in Nigeria. Yeah, we know how Nigeria can be. Your transcript can take forever to come or to be sent to West. It still needs to verify from the school, and before you know it, you're taking months on months before your credential evaluation is done. So I went ahead to do my to do my English language test first. I said it was a mistake because English language test has 2 years expiry, while the credential evaluation has 5 years expiry. Yeah, so I could have done the one with the longer expiry first, had that before doing my IELTS. But I went to do my IELTS in February of 2020. Had my IELTS. I made it once. I didn't really prepare for it at the time. I didn't know it was even something to prepare for. I didn't think it was such a big deal. So I didn't think people were failing it, because in Nigeria we speak English. We speak very good English. So I was like, okay, it's English language test, So I didn't even know it was something that I was supposed to take so seriously. But thankfully for me, first testimony, to God be the glory, I was able to pass my test. I maxed out on it. I had 9887 or 7.5 thereabouts. So I maxed out my IELTS. Yes. You need to know that if for every category in this journey to in this express entry journey, or in this journey of getting your permanent residency, you need to max out every category that you can. Max it out as much as possible. In fact, right now, having just English language test is not enough. You need your French because the scores are so high. In 2020, then the scores went so high. If you had 470 something, you are almost sure you even get your ITA. That's invitation to apply, is what is called ITA. So you can almost be sure, and beat your chest, okay, I'm going to Canada. So I did my IELTS. I maxed it out. Then I reached out to school as well to get my my credential evaluated. Now, for credential evaluation, you can use any, there are list of evaluation bodies I can use. There's West, there's ICAS, and lots of others. I use West because I did a 4-year course in the university, and West was just fine for me. Now, for those that did 5-year courses, for instance, law, it's better to use ICAS for lawyers, because ICAS, if you evaluate your law degree with ICAS, they will evaluate it as a professional degree, and professional degree in the pool has a higher ranking. You get a higher score than if you do if it was a BSc. So if you have a BSc alone, you have 1 score. If you have 2 or more degree, probably an ND and an HND, or ND and BSc, or you have a professional certification, maybe an AAT, or you have your maybe F1 to F9 or something with ACCA or something. You have just 2 or more degrees, that's higher than a BSc. Then if you have a master's or a professional qualification, that is higher than a 2 or more degree, right? So you get more score. So if you evaluate your law degree, with ICAS, you are classified like master's or professional degree, which is like the highest band you get. So it helps you, right? But I used West because I did a 4-year course, although I did 2 or more degree because I am also like a certified chartered accountant. So I had my 8 years associate accounting technician scheme certification, so I added that to my BSc as 2 or more degrees. So that was what I used in my West evaluation, but I should have just done the West evaluation before my IELTS. But if you studied abroad, actually you don't have that issue, because I think it's always easier. The evaluation for those that studied abroad is always very easy. I think they send like a direct confirmation to West itself, so there is no that back and forth and trying to confirm from the school and all that admin bureaucratic process or that laid back process. You don't get that. So it might not be a mistake for those who study abroad to like do their IELTS before their West. But for me, my IELTS was in February 2020. My West came out September 1st, 2020. So for 7 good months, I had my IELTS and it wasn't doing anything. And it had just 2 years, validity. So I had wasted 7 months of that IELTS not doing anything, you get? Because immediately I did my IELTS and put in for my West evaluation, COVID hit. There was lockdown, nothing was happening. They couldn't process my West until September when I got the feedback. So wasted time, right? Anyways, when I got my my West on the 1st of September, I created my profile immediately and it was submitted I think 2nd of September or something, and that was it. I had that done and I was in the pool. Then the waiting game began. We're waiting for the draws. There weren't so much draw during lockdown, no general draw actually, but we were having the Canada Experience class at CEC. There was provincial nomination draw as well, but we didn't have any general draw. But sometime in September, I think September or October, we started having draws again and people were getting their invitation to apply and all that. Then December came. December 2020. I was still single at the time. Anyways, December 2020 came and there was this draw for 468, which was my score. My friend called me to tell me the draw was 468. I was elated. I was so happy. I was working out at the time. Hey, I've been able to work out today. I just left my workout and immediately like, okay. Then I started waiting for mail. I didn't see mail. But because from my research, I saw that, okay, it could take a while for your mail to come. So I didn't get a mail that night. Then the next morning, nothing as well. Then I now went to check the draw and I saw tie-breaking rule. Tie-breaking rule, what's that? Then I read it to see that, okay, tie-breaking rule was 468 on or before June. So I was like, okay. So tie-breaking rule meant that if your cutoff is exactly the cutoff for the draw, then they put a rule to say, okay, if let's assume in my case it was 468, so it was like 468 is the cutoff, but this 468 only applies to those that are on 468 or that were in the pool on 468 as at June 2020. So it meant that if you created your profile after June or whatever the date, let's say for instance it was June 12 that was stated in that tie-breaking rule, it meant that if you created your profile June 13th, even though you have 468, you're not going to get the draw. You're not going to get an invitation to apply. I was like, God, I didn't know. I didn't know. So like, it only means that you should create your profile like now. And now, if you are watching this video, create your profile now. If you don't know how to create your Express Entry profile, I'm going to be dropping a video on that like immediately after this is the resources we are talking about. Somebody out there is looking for how to do this process, without using an agent as well. So like, share, subscribe so that you get, and turn on the post notification bell so that when I drop that video on how to create your profile, you can see it. Then another thing I also want to mention is about the NOC, that's the National Occupation classification for Canada. So when you are creating your expert entry profile as well, you want to pay attention to your NOC. That's your occupation, the occupation that you want to claim, or your years of experience. Like I said, part of the criteria is to have years of experience, right? So a foreign, whether it's a foreign experience that's outside of Canada or even in Canada, you want to have years of experience. Now that experience will have like occupational classification. So you're an accountant, you have your code. You're an economist, you have your code. You are a software engineer, you have your code, right? So you also want to confirm what code your occupation falls into. The NOC is like a tiering system, right? So you just want to confirm what code your occupation falls into, and then you want to like that's what you want to fill in your profile, your expert entry profile as well. So you can just type it on Google, NOC 2021 or recent Canada NOC code, you for so and so, for an accountant, for an economist, for a business analyst, for a compliance manager, for lawyers. You put it there and you will see your details, the NOC code that you should use. Then read the description on each NOC code. This is very important, and you will see the importance when you get your ITA, right? Because when you get your ITA, your NOC, that the NOC you use in getting your ITA, you will need a reference letter from your employer or your previous employer. That's if you've left the company, or your current employer. Now your job description needs to fit into the NOC code you have selected. So you don't want to pick an NOC code and say you're an accountant, but maybe you're a bookkeeper in the organization. Your job description is that of a bookkeeper, but you have picked that of an accountant. You are going to get denied. So you want to ensure that when you pick the NOC code, you read the job description on that NOC code to ensure that that job description fits exactly what you're doing in your workplace. Okay, so back to my story. That was it, and I didn't get an ITA. I was super sad. I didn't even know how to go back to my friend to say, oh, all your jubilation has wasted. Oh god, I was sad. But then, because it was fortnightly, I just felt, well, there's going to be another draw. And if you follow the trend at the time, once they do a particular score, they can go lower again. So you're hopeful, like, okay, they did 468, maybe the next one will be 467, or even if it's 468 again, the tie breaking would come down, it will meet me. It's just 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks is almost here. And 2021 came and there was no draw. Yeah. At the time, I started dating my partner, and when he now proposed, he was like, okay, so he had his own Canada dream, he had his own expert entry profile as well. So it was not like, okay, now we are here, we need to start working at, doing it together and not just individually. And then I was now worried, because I did not want to rush somebody's son to come and marry me, right? So I was like, okay, what happens if I get an ITA, or he gets an ITA before we're married? What then will happen? Does it now mean that I will have to go, or can he add me? So I went back to do research as well, and I discovered that, in fact, I would say it's more beneficial, in my opinion, to add your partner after you have gotten your ITA, particularly if your partner does not have like any significant maybe qualification ahead of you. They don't have like maybe additional language, they don't have like maybe a sibling in Canada, that's if you don't have. So because I used the CRS tool to do a comparison, and it showed that if your partner is on the same level as you, like you have 2 or more certificates, they have 2 or more certificates as well. They have the same IELTS score, they have like, they don't have sibling in Canada, they don't have like a French or anything, they don't have a job in Canada and all that. If you add them, it's going to reduce your score, right? So they need something more for your partner to be like an added advantage to you. But if you've gotten your invitation to apply, like they've picked you, they sent you an ITA, then you have accepted, you sent your documents, to IRCC. I'll list the documents shortly, but you sent your documents to them, then you now had your partner later. Now it's not about lying, no. It only means that you got married after you have sent your documents. So your marriage certificate is showing a date after that, and you're now adding your partner. They won't revoke your invitation to apply, they will add your partner today. But if you had your partner when you only got an ITA, but you are not accepted, you have not sent documents to them, they will revoke your ITA, right? So you go back into the pool, because adding them would change your status. And if adding them reduces your score below the score for the ITA you got, then you can't go ahead with that. You can't go ahead with that invitation, so you have to go back to the pool. But if adding them doesn't reduce it below that cutoff point, then you can. So let's assume that you have a partner, you've gotten your ITA score was like, let's say 500, but your own score in the pool that picks you for that ITA was like 560 when you got your ITA. Then if you add your partner and it reduces your score to like 540 or 530 or 510, because it's not lower than 500, which was the cutoff when you got your ITA, you can just go ahead. But if it was lower, if adding your partner reduces your score to like 490 or 495 or something, then you have to like go back to the pool, except you have already sent your document, like you have already accepted that invitation before you added your partner. I hope that clarifies it. But if you have any questions, just go into the comment section, drop your question. I'll definitely be there to answer your questions, right? So that was just it. My worry was clear that okay, I could have my partner afterwards, so I was just fine, like let's go there, right? I kept waiting. There was no draw in 2021. At the time, I started processing, UK, my master's in the UK, because like I said, I was just tired of the country. And then NSAS, NSAS further like emphasize or concretize my reason for wanting to leave. Like I said, I had my own fair share in 2019. Now seeing like, at the time you feel like you're the only one, but now seeing like the entire youth in Nigeria coming out to say, oh, I've experienced, or I know someone that have experienced this in one way or the other, I just felt like, wow. So it wasn't just me, and I was like, at this point I just need to get out of here. So I applied for my school in the UK, and I applied for a scholarship as well. So since my partner too was like really game on it, like I said, you had already proposed, so we're already like working together to get things done. I was like, okay, let me put in an application as well, and for a scholarship. So whoever gets the higher one just goes, right? We both put in an application, and then he got the scholarship. So I was like, okay, it's good. Like, you go to school, and then I'll just follow as your dependent, since the UK was allowing dependents at the time. After we got married, we just went to the UK, and then we're still in the pool anyway. So, but note here that your expert entry profile expires after a year. So you always have to create your profile if you want to, like if you are still in the journey anyways. So after we had done that, we kept waiting. We packed our bag, went to the UK, started our lives, but really we're still like waiting and waiting. So I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to break it in two parts here. So this is the end of the very first part. If you're interested in the second part, I would say that I'm going to be dropping that video after this as well. So thank you so much for watching to this point. Like, share and subscribe. I believe this is very important, and you want to like stay glued to the very end to pick out the lessons, to see how you can finish the entire process, and then to ask your questions as well. So like, come your way next time. This is Moments with D. Thanks for watching.